The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down, handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is a Monday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Tostitos, helping fans get in on the game and our favorite chip and our favorite dip of Talkin Cowboys. Welcome into the virtual SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco following a 25-22 Dallas Cowboys loss to the Arizona Cardinals in Week 17. And we are going to talk about it. Offense, defense, special teams. We have talked about complimentary wins on this show the last 4 weeks or so. This was a complimentary loss, and we are going to break it down for you here from the Star in Frisco alongside Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, back with Rob Phillips. Great news there that Rob is back on Talking Cowboys this week with Rob P. Island. I'm Kyle Yeomans, Chris Beam running this thing in the back. But, gentlemen, we'll start with just general thoughts about the loss. The Cowboys come up short in a comeback effort. They fell behind at one point in the game, 22-7, and just really couldn't find their way back, Rob. They had a couple opportunities, maybe some missed calls from the officials, but in the end, the Cowboys just didn't play well enough to win that football game.
Yeah, I think you said it, Kyle. Like I kind of got killed on social media after the game, and sometimes I'm a little sensitive about those things, but this time I held my ground. I held my ground because look, yes, there were missed calls. There was a huge missed call at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is they did not do enough in quarters 1 through 3 to give themselves a good enough chance to win that game. That's the bottom line. And guys said that after the game. Amari Cooper said that. The game doesn't go on forever. You don't get an eternal number of chances. And like you said, when you only have 7 points deep into the game in the second half, and you've got a single yard in the third quarter until the very end, you're digging yourself a huge hole. And Arizona came out and was the more desperate team. They were the more banged up team coming off of 3 straight losses and missing a bunch of guys on defense. They found a way to win. The Cowboys did not, even though, yes, you can question some calls, and I understand why players are upset. But they didn't play well enough to win that football game, and now they're not in the position they would like to be, certainly in the playoff picture.
Isaiah?
Rob P., I'm not going to let you do that. I agree with the second half of your sentiments. The first half sounds much like Mike McCarthy or players on the Dallas Cowboys right now that are accepting this excuse for saying, the referees. Every time the Dallas Cowboys have lost this year, it's been the referees. If you go back to it, look at all the post-game interviews, it's always the referees that are getting the finger pointed at them, and that is such a victim mentality. I talked about it on the post-game. That play at the end of the game, first of all, no referee is seeing that play. Everybody can barely even see it in the doggone replay that it was a fumble, right? You had to watch it 6-7 times in a row to even identify it was a fumble. And then had they not gotten taken advantage of by Arizona earlier in that half, they would have had an additional timeout where they could have challenged it. So there's a lot of things that went into this loss. The referees was not one of them. They needed to make more plays. Arizona came in and executed much better than Dallas did, and that's the moral of the story because Stone Cold said so.
Well, I mean, look, not going to argue with that, man. It's they came out flat. They came out flat. They played flat. It was eerily reminiscent of the Denver game where they came out and just nothing with fire at all. Defensively, and I know we're going to get into a lot of that. It's just, look, man, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I've watched a lot of Dan Quinn football this year, and I just didn't see the same thing, same play call, same calls from the defense. So, I think it was very interesting as the game progressed some of the things that they tried to do to make Kyler uncomfortable. But let's just face it, man. Kyler Murray is a different beast altogether when it comes down to playing the quarterback position. We have to give them their respect and their kudos because they played a hell of a game being shorthanded the way that they were. They picked up a lot of our stuff. And again, they just did they did a phenomenal job where we did not. And blaming it on the referees, obviously, I can see it both ways. But Isaiah, I'm kind of with you on this, man. You can't use that as an excuse because at this point in time in the season, you're supposed to be firing on all cylinders.
And I think that's the most disconcerting thing about this game is the fact that even when you looked like you were the stronger team, the healthier team, you had all the momentum in the world, and you laid an egg in the first three quarters. And that's what that was. I mean, outside of the one drive right before halftime, or at least with midway through that second quarter, you really didn't have any rhythm offensively until the fourth quarter. And then Arizona, shorthanded, they hadn't had any kind of rhythm without DeAndre Hopkins on the field. And a guy like Antoine Wesley comes up and makes 2 touchdown grabs. You have Christian Kirk as the leading receiver. A.J. Green turns back the clock. Zach Ertz was pretty much a non-factor until the second half. But all of these guys stepped up and filled in roles that they hadn't been over the last 3 weeks. So why is it the Cowboys, Isaiah, as the team that had to be the one they had to figure it out against? Because there had to be something that they saw on film, both sides of the football. And we'll get into offense and defense specifically coming up in the next couple of segments. But there had to be something they saw that said, we're going to beat this team, because they came out with a boatload of confidence.
You're professional athletes, you're professional coaches, and you show up to a game and you're competitors. You make a decision that you're going to go, balls to the wall, and that's exactly what Arizona came in and did. They said, we're going to throw everything at Dallas, and Dallas is going to have to show us that they're capable of stopping it. And they weren't. When they came out and they lined up and they brought everybody at the line of scrimmage, Dak said, oh, crap. The offensive line said, oh, crap. There's only so many guys that you can block, and we're going to get home. We're going to get to Dak. We're going to disrupt Dak before he can get the ball off to these receivers. These receivers are not going to get off the line of scrimmage and get these short passing game options like Dak had been so great at earlier in the season. They totally disrupted that. So what started happening? Dak was coming up and he was having to totally redo all the protections. He was having to totally redo all the plays, and that caused hesitation. That did not enable them to go out there and play fast like they did last week. That was disruptive. And then offensively for Arizona, they just had Kyler Murray. Everybody's pointing the finger at the defensive line saying, oh, where was this at? Heckman, you mentioned that you didn't see the Dan Quinn type defense. And I kind of combat that because I feel as if they did a good job of getting back there. The only difference is you're not dealing with quarterbacks who have the inability to run the ball. This dude sees pressure. This dude sees defensive ends going up the field. He's stepping in and out. We said it all week long. Pressure on the ends means nothing. If you don't have internal pressure against a running quarterback, it doesn't present a problem for him. And we did not have internal pressure this week. And that is why this game turned out the way that it was. They just wanted to win the game more. And Dallas, unfortunately, this year has a record of that versus teams that are above 500 in the win column. They were 8-1 coming into the game versus the NFC. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but only 1-1 against the NFC when it comes to games over 500. The teams that have a winning percentage over 500. This was another one of those teams. So now you're 8-2 against the NFC, and you're 1-2 versus teams over 500.
Rob?
Totally agree. I mean, we talked about it during the week, or when I was on barely during the week last week, that this was a better test. I mean, they won 4 straight games, and give them credit. 3 of them were on the road. But that was a playoff team that they played yesterday, and a playoff quarterback, and hey, a hell of a coaching job by Arizona in terms of the game plan that was executed better. I mean, they knew, as banged up as their defense was, they had to control the line of scrimmage, control time of possession, keep Dak and the offense off the field, and protect their defense. And they did that. They dominated time of possession. They kept the ball out of the Cowboys' offense's hands, got them out of rhythm, like you said, with a lot of different pre-snap looks, a lot of stuff, not necessarily stuff Dak hasn't seen, but a lot of that after the snap, guys dropping back into coverage, flooding passing lanes. And look, they got the other thing, too, is they completely shut down the run. That was a season-low 45 rushing yards for the Cowboys. We've talked about it. They have been in a rut offensively. We thought they got out of it against Washington, but they were not in this game. And they just didn't have enough cracks at it and weren't efficient enough when they had the football.
Heckma?
Yeah, for me, Isaiah, it's really just, switching up the coverages. They stayed in the vanilla coverage the entire game. For me, I've seen them switch it up too many times and bring pressure from different angles. But again, I say this, man, Arizona did a good job of picking up the blitz, and you're absolutely right that if it's any of the other quarterbacks in the NFL, they have 3-4 sacks yesterday because, look, Kyler Murray was just able to get outside of the pocket, and just elude the defense. But it's one of those things where when you look at this game in totality, the run game coming up missing is going to be the story of this game, but also just the fact that we're not talking about the penalties. This team, anytime they tried to steal any momentum, they shot themselves in the foot. And those third down penalties killed them. Killed them. We talk about the running game and them only having 40, 50 yards of rushing, 45 yards rushing. But you take some of the big run from Ezekiel Elliott back, even a run from Tony Pollard that comes back as well on a penalty. Look, all of those things are relative. Again, we had our opportunities, but all in all, this team just came out flat, and you can't do that. You're right again, Isaiah, with when you start facing those upper echelon teams and you want to, if this is a measuring stick, in the words of Ric Flair, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And we just didn't we didn't measure up in this game, and a lot of it had to do with the way that we opened up the game.
So, Heckma, I'm going to turn this.
Wrestling references in the first segment. I love it. I got to come up with one now.
I know, Rob, you're the only one that hasn't come up with one yet. So, Heckma, I'm gonna put this right back on top of you. I'm going to turn this right back around here for you just a second, because you talked about the preparedness. You talked about the play calling. You mentioned the fact that there were multiple opportunities for the Cowboys to be in better positions, and the penalties as well. How severely outcoached were the Cowboys on Sunday afternoon? I mean, Cliff Kingsbury and company, how much did they outcoach Mike McCarthy and his staff?
Look, man, situational awareness is all coaching. And there was a situation where McCarthy got caught with his pants down, and they called him. And that was all he could do was burn that timeout. And so, look, it came back to haunt them. And anytime you're in a close matchup, and that's why timeouts in the second half are so pivotal. But that was one instance where, look, that was just, that was coaching. And I'm sure he wishes that he had that timeout back, because obviously that probably would have made the difference on that call that everybody wished that wasn't. And where the hell is New York when you need them? I thought they called down and say, hey, that was actually a fumble. Why come we can't get New York to place a call?
Not inside 2 minutes, right?
Nope.
Damn.
It was outside of 2 minutes, though. Yeah.
Is it?
Outside of 2 minutes, yeah.
Outside.
Yeah. Make the call. We can't beg for that. That's another excuse. But I'm just saying that's
a caveat of the game. Had it been inside 2 minutes, they would have got that call. But it was outside of 2 minutes, and because you got quote unquote out coached during that early situation earlier in the game, that disabled you from being able to challenge it.
Boy, he in his bag this morning. Isaiah, IRS right now, boy. I tell you what.
No, this is why I had hesitation earlier in the week, right? And I know you guys looked at me sideways, and a lot of other people probably did as well. When we came off the Washington game, and we were right, everybody was riding high. Oh, Dallas is killing it. Dallas is they're unstoppable. And what was my response? I want to see it this week. Mm-hmm. That was my first thing I said. I want to see it this week. The reason why is because you're supposed to beat up on those teams. Right, and I said that you're supposed to beat up on those teams. That's the little brother. What did I refer to last week? That was a Rotary Boys and Girls Club that you beat up on. That was a Rotary League, right? You had to go play the select games now. And these are the select games. And it doesn't matter what you do against the cats that you play around, that run around and play the same 4 or 5 teams. It doesn't matter, right? The NFC East, it doesn't matter. When you go out there and you play them other boys that play nationally ranked guys all the time, this is what the Dallas Cowboys have shown, and they have to show different going into the playoffs.
Slow down, Jim Shoes. Come on now. This is a seesaw league. The NFL is a seesaw league. And if you looked at the year that has been, or just look at the AFC, right? There are the best record in the AFC is 11-5. That's the AFC. And you come to the NFC, obviously the Green Bay has the best record. So what I'm saying is it's been a good year of football. Anybody could beat anybody. If you look at last night or yesterday, the Jets were supposed to beat the Bucs in New York. I mean, there's been strange things that have happened all year. And all I'm saying is, look, we played flat. We'll see them again or whoever we see. We just got to play better. It's not as though Arizona came in here and completely wiped the floor with us. No. It was self-inflicted. Before this week, hey, it was when a team gets back Montez Sweat and when teams get these people back or, Dak is not looking like himself anymore and all of those things. But look, man, if Kellen Moore comes out and he scripts the first 15 plays the way that he did against this team, against Arizona, man, throw those first 15 plays away. You have to start all over with this thing because, look, that just didn't work for us, man. And I mean, look, Isaiah, I rely on you heavily for a lot of this because I feel as though you're going to tell it like it is. And I feel like we appreciate that part of it. But if you're looking around the rest of the league, man, you're seeing that there's a whole lot of parity, bro. Anybody can beat anybody.
And that's absolutely correct. I don't look around for everybody else, right? I'm looking at these guys, and all the talk that I have, that all my opinions come from the standpoint of where the Dallas Cowboys are trying to go. And when you start talking about where they're trying to go and not who they had on their 11-5 schedule was based upon. It's all about what level of ball do you have to play in order to win those type of games. That's all. Right. That's where all my opinions always come from. And this has always been a question mark that's sitting over my head and over the Dallas Cowboys' head. Can they deliver when you face these teams that are like, I don't give a doggone that we have a lot of injuries. I don't give a doggone that we don't have our full squad. This is what the type of ball that we're going to play. Can you stop it? We're going to give it everything that we have, and this is our approach. We're going to blitz you 75% of the game. That's what we're doing. What are you going to do? Are you going to run the ball? Because you're the Dallas Cowboys and you have all your offensive linemen back? Or are you going to say, nah, we can't run the ball and bust through this first line of defense and get to the big plays because there's no second level defenders? That was the approach that Kellen Moore and the Dallas Cowboys took yesterday when they should have said, we got Tyron Smith, we got Collins, we got Martin. We're coming at you. We're going to get past this first layer. Yes, we're going to hit our head on the wall a couple times, but once we get through this first layer of defense, we're going to be having nothing big plays. And they didn't take that approach. They sat back on their heels, and this was what they put on film, much like what they put on film when they played against Denver. So now, other team, Philadelphia, all right? Philadelphia is now looking at that like, can we do the same thing? All right, we're not going to take the same approach Arizona's going to take, but there's two different examples now, two examples of how Dallas has now left that window open for Debo.
And you're right, heck, like there is parity in this conference. Like you watch those noon games, and the Rams almost lose that game, and obviously the Bucs had everything that they had going on in that game. So yeah, but there's evidence going back to post-bye that offensively they are just not in a rhythm. And Washington was maybe an aberration. I don't know. Like I had pause about this game too, but I picked the Cowboys based off the fact that they got back home to AT&T Stadium where they've averaged almost 40 points a game, and you're thinking it's going to be a track meet, it's going to be a boat race, but that didn't happen. So the problem is going back to late October, there's just evidence that they are still not in a rhythm offensively. That is a concern going into the playoffs. And now they've got this situation where, okay, are they the 4 seed? Do they have a chance to move up? Do they play guys in Week 18 that's now on Saturday on a short week? Or do they try to get ready for the playoffs? Like, I'm not sure what Mike McCarthy does right now because I do think offensively they need to try to get some rhythm back going before the postseason starts instead of just sitting guys. It's an interesting position that they're in right now.
Well, let's talk about that on the other side of the break because I want to talk about, the Saturday scenario in which is going to be placed this week, and then we'll talk about going into the playoffs there. But I also want to hear, does it make you feel a little bit better, the fact that they found a rhythm in the fourth quarter, even though it was late in the game and they were trying to get back into it? Does it make you feel better moving into the final game of the regular season and then, of course, into the playoffs when we come back with more Talkin' Cowboys?
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
It's a great people, great pay replay here on Talking Cowboys. You've heard it already, that Jason Witten has joined the Caliber Collision team. You can join him to do great work with great people for great pay and apply right now at jobs@caliber.com. That's jobs@caliber.com. What is that, Isaiah?
This is my Rob P. wallet.
Still in the box or what?
Fresh.
Fresh.
No, that's not the box. That's just the outer layer.
I was going to say, it looks like a brick from here.
Rob, did you watch?
I'm going to go get my new one soon.
Good. Did you watch the shows last week? I'm assuming you did, because we were talking about maybe pulling a Bible out. That would probably be a great representation of the wallet. Something of the sort.
A King James?
Yeah.
That's about right in terms of thickness. Yes.
Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Second segment here of Talking Cowboys. First non-victory Monday that we've had since right after Thanksgiving. And so a little somber today, but we're going to help get through it, and we're going to talk about the Cowboys and what went right, what went wrong. And I want to start things off in this segment. We will get to what I teased a little bit later in the next couple minutes or so. But I want to ask: who is to blame for the game yesterday? Because it could be a finger could be pointed a couple different directions. I'll start with you, Heckma. But offensive coordinator, quarterback, offensive line, running game. Which one do you start with here? Because I know a lot of people were going after Dak Prescott. I don't know if that's necessarily all on his shoulders, but I want to hear it from you first.
You know, I think you have to break this thing down in percentages as far as blame is concerned. I mean, the offensive line is definitely – they didn't play their best ball yesterday, and I'm sure they would agree. Dak didn't either. He had some throws that got away from him. He didn't read the defenses as well as he should have. Balls, he just looked off. I mean, the whole offense looked flat. Kellen Moore, I talked about his play scripting from the beginning of the game, and it just, man, the play calling was off. I mean, a lot of the formations that he came out with, Budda Baker was reading them, all right? Budda Baker was supposed to have 3 interceptions yesterday that went through his hands. So this game was lopsided from the beginning, just from a scheme standpoint. But you know, there's a lot of blame to carry to pass out. But I think it starts with the offensive line. They didn't play well at all. And if you look at the way that we rushed yesterday, I mean, 45 rushing yards. That ain't going to get it. And, you know, hey, Isaiah, hello, darkness, my old friend. We're back to that third down stat. We were 3 for 11 on third down. So you're not going to win very much when the third down stat looks like that.
Isaiah?
I'm going to put it on Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, I felt like he tucked his tail yesterday. And that's
his tail?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, because you expect You expect the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys with all these weapons to have a freaking Napoleon complex. He should just walk out there, just chest just swole, right? Just fresh off some push-ups, just fresh off push-ups, fresh off pull-ups, all that, just chest swole up. And he didn't do that. And Arizona came at him and attacked him like Mike Tyson used to come out in the first round, and just coming with just a barrage of punches and just swinging and uppercuts and overhand rights and Kellen Moore was just like, oh crap, right? I'm gonna stop running the ball. I'm going to stop my quick passing game. I'm not going to change anything that my first 15 or whatever everybody's referring to right now. His approach to this game was different than what his execution was. And yes, Dak Prescott gets the blame. Yes, the offensive line gets the blame because those guys are underneath his umbrella. But he is the leader of this offense. Let's not forget that. Dak gets paid $40 million a year, but he's not the leader of this offense. Kellen Moore is. And they are going to follow suit in terms of what he calls and the positions that he puts them in. And I don't believe that he was aggressive enough in his approach in the game to rebut whatever it is Arizona brought yesterday. And that was them saying, hey, we're going to blitz you to death because we know that you're going to play on your heels.
So you wanted Kellen to come out like the Ultimate Warrior and just like shake the ropes and do all that stuff and pound his chest.
Absolutely.
And he didn't do that. I had to get the wrestling reference in.
I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to give the edge in the game plan and the execution to Cliff Kingsbury in this game. And not just the timeout or the timeout that they forced him to get that Heck referenced that turned out to be the difference in the game at the end. But again, yeah, they did a better job of controlling the pace of the game throughout on their offensive side of the ball. I think, yeah, I'm with Heck and Isaiah. Like I think it's all the way around offensively. They were out of sync. But the penalties to me are what stood out the most in terms of, I think they had 6 drives in the first 2 quarters in the first half. 5 of them they had at least one penalty that stalled drives, and they were 2 of 6 on third down, and they never got anything going. And I know everybody wants to talk about the refs and the missed calls, but when you dig yourself a hole like that, you're asking for everything to go right late in the game. That the refs, they're human, that they're not going to make a mistake and not going to do something that's going to screw it up. That's what happened. They put themselves in a position where too much had to go right for them late, and that's ultimately why they lost. Even though yes, it was a missed call late.
Go ahead.
And whatever scheme that has Schultz blocking Chandler Jones, if we see this team again, let's just throw that one away.
And that's an example of that is a penalty. Like the holding that he had, like that's not. And I know, look, 10 penalties, and I know that the guys are frustrated, but like there are clear penalties out there, and they've been one of the most penalized teams in the league this year. This has been a problem, not just it's the ref's fault every time.
Yeah, thank you very much for acknowledging that. But let me address this. The reason why I point the finger at Kellen Moore is because if you come out and you're playing against, we talked about it, right? We talked about how aggressive Arizona is on defense, how they have an all-pro guy at every level. And it reminded me of the Los Angeles Chargers and how aggressive these guys are at every level. Chandler Jones, right? You got Isaiah Simmons. You got Budda Baker. All these boys, we said they play off of momentum. Right, we said all these things leading up the entire week, and you have to slow these guys down. So when they come up to the line of scrimmage, they said, we're blitzing all 8 guys. What is your approach? Is your approach to say, okay, we're going to just drop back and we're going to now just try to catch and hold as many guys as we can and hope that you guys don't get Dak? Or are you going to reverse course and say, we're going to come at you, I'm going to bust you in your mouth, I'm going to meet you at the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to drive you back because we're better than you up front? That's what I talk about when I'm talking about the mentality of Kellen Moore. He dropped back and said, I'm going to try to hold off as long as I can to try to give Dak as much time as possible. And when you do that and you don't have enough blockers to block their guys that they're bringing, you are now in a catching position. And if you're in a catching position, guess what you're going to catch? You're going to catch some of them flags because you're now holding on for dear life instead of attacking.
Now, do you think that is the thing that is bugging Dak the most? The way that teams are crowding the line of scrimmage? Because you saw New Orleans do the same thing. We've seen a lot of teams do that. Show coverage one way, press the line of scrimmage, and then bail at the last minute. I personally, that's just one of the things, like I'm out there watching that. But Isaiah, I guess I'm asking you that question. Do you think that's making the biggest difference in how Dak is reading defenses?
It should piss him off. And you hear that in his post-game interview where he's like, for whatever reason, teams, they come at me more than they come at to other teams. That's a freaking problem, Dak. And that's not just your problem. That's Kellen Moore. that teams are bullying Kellen Moore. They're not bullying you and your inability to be able to handle the blitz. They're saying scheme-wise, we can get to you and disrupt what you guys are doing more so when we blitz you. So guess what? When we play the Dallas Cowboys, absolutely, we're sending the whole house because guess what? Their offensive coordinator hasn't proven that they are going to make anybody pay.
Well, in earlier...
You're ignoring the stat that Dak is number one when facing the blitz.
Yeah, exactly.
He has the best QBR in the NFL.
And they blitzed him less lately, I feel like, last month or so, but not in this game. Not in this game.
Yeah, and to your point, he is the best when it comes to the short passing game, right? When it comes to the short passing game, he's at the top of the league. Absolutely, Heckler. But guess what? Something's changed, and all of a sudden now we don't have Michael Gallup, and teams start building their confidence. When you have your $20 million man out there at the receiver position and you're not getting him the ball, guess what? We're no longer threatened by you. We're not threatened by you. If you're not going to get Amari Cooper the ball more than 3 or 4 times a game, I can blitz you 30 times a game. You know why? Because you're not going to get the ball in his hands. Right now, as teams go forward, they don't have a Michael Gallup on the other side. Oh, guess what? Oh, even more so, we're going to bring these dogs. And even more so, we're going to put hands on you at the line of scrimmage. CD has now become the named receiver for these guys, and that is a problem when defenses start approaching us.
How much of an effect does that have on the run game as well? Because we can't go away from this game and say 45 yards is going to get it done. 9 carries for 16 yards and a long of 6 for Ezekiel Elliott. Second worst game of his career. That's not going to get it done. So, Isaiah, how much does the blitzing packages have to do with the fact that the run game has been bad too?
Is huge. And I say it all the time. Dak is not built to drop back and throw the ball 40-plus times a game. He's not built that way. He's not built. This offense isn't built that way. Can he do it? Yes. Are they going to be successful majority of the time? No. That's not. This team is still revolved around the running game. That is the identity of this team. I don't care how beat up the running game is. I don't care how much Dak can throw the ball down the field. This team needs to run the ball. And when you blitz against the Dallas Cowboys, what is it known that they do? They abandon the run. They abandon the run. Do they have the personnel up front to batter you and get through that first line? They're moving 2-3 layers of defenders down to 1. And you're saying that you can't find a seam? You can't find one seam to break through that and make them pay? That's what you do against teams that blitz you. Walk all those guys up to the line of scrimmage if you want to. And yes, you're going to get us a couple times. You're going to get us 1, 2, 3 times. But guess what? In that second half, when you're dog tired, and I still got Tyron Smith, and I still got Lyle Collins, and I still got Zach Martin over there, we're going to get through this first layer. And guess what? TP, Zeke was running hard. That's the healthiest we've seen Zeke. He's going to bust out for 20, 30, 40-plus yards. And I bet you won't bring that blitz again. That's the mentality you have to have, but that's not the response that teams are getting when they face the Dallas Cowboys. Kellen Moore is saying, oh, let's just try to hold him up, and I hope that my offensive line doesn't get a holding penalty. That's BS. Attack them.
Heckma?
No, I mean, look, Isaiah's on fire right now, man, and we just go let him simmer over there because you're right, man, for real. Like they didn't get to the second level at all, and when they were pressing at the line of scrimmage, whether they bailed or stayed blitzing, our offensive line didn't do a good job. And when we finally did get a break, guess what? There was a penalty that went with that. So. There was just never any way to capture any momentum, man. This is an ugly game, man, and they really can't make any excuses for it. But at the same time, man, the penalties really stopped a lot of the momentum offensively that we had. Dak has to do a better job. Everybody has to be better the next time that we face a team like this. If this is going to be the measuring stick game that we need, now it's going to come down to, a winner takes all approach for the playoffs. And so we have to be better no matter what.
Yeah. Rob?
Yeah, for sure. The other thing, too, offensively is they didn't – we heard about the fastball offense for a week straight, and tempo wasn't there. I mean, they got on the ball quick in the first drive, but after that I didn't really see it. And I think part of it was they stalled out for the reasons you guys mentioned. And, the defense is on the field a ton. And maybe you don't want to, hang your defense out to dry as much because, if you don't convert those drives, then you're hurrying up for what? So I think that was something they got into against Washington that was very helpful for them that they weren't able to establish in this last game. But you're right, Heck. Like they're looking at a situation now, if you're looking big picture, where you had the 2 seed. Now it's the situation where you very well may have to win 2 road games to get to the Super Bowl. And the way they played yesterday, that's going to be a tough task. They got to be more efficient.
So we're 5-3 at home now and 6-2 on the road.
Hey, so. Maybe it works out that way. Maybe that's what we should be doing. They've won 3 straight on the road, right? They're going to play on the road this week. Let's see if they can get 4 straight on the road. So all of that in tongue-in-cheek, of course. But when we come back, let's talk about the seeding scenario and what's on the docket for the Cowboys moving into the final week of the regular season. Can they move out of the 4th seed? They can. We'll tell you how when we come back on Talkin Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more. Essilor on Talkin Cowboys. Those are custom Essilors for the UW fam. How about that?
Mm-hmm. That's the disgusted auntie right there. That's the look she giving you today.
Oh, no. The disgusted auntie. Final segment here of Talkin Cowboys. Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, Rob Phillips, Chris Beam. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Green Bay, with their win last night over the Minnesota Vikings, locking up the 1 seed in the NFC. So the 1 seed, the bye, it is gone for everyone, including the Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay locked it up with their win, dominant fashion, 37-10 over the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. So where does it line up for the Cowboys now? How can they get out of the 4 seed? Because right now, almost every scenario except for 2 has them as the 4 seed. Here's the 2 scenarios. If they want to be the 2 seed, let's say they want to get up and have that chance at a second home game, and then also maybe play a team like Philadelphia, maybe a San Francisco, the 7 seed in the NFC in the first round. They would need the Panthers to beat the Buccaneers, the Seahawks to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and the 49ers to beat the Los Angeles Rams. So every team that you are in the conversation with that's right around that 12-4, 11-5 realm with you, you would need all 3 of those teams to lose, and, of course, the Cowboys to win their game on Sunday against the Eagles. You would need that to happen in order for the Cowboys to be the 2 seed. So likelihood of that happening, pretty slim. And we would need a lot to happen there.
But you're saying there's a chance.
That's right, Lloyd.
All right.
There is a chance. And
That's what I heard.
They could also be the 3 seed if they wanted to, which would most likely pit them up against maybe a San Francisco or I don't even know who else could be the 6 seed. But they would need the Seahawks to still beat the Cardinals, the 49ers to still beat the Rams. So basically you need the NFC West to lose. And then if the Buccaneers beat the Panthers, you would still be the 3 seed. If that's the case, of course, if you take advantage of the Eagles on Sunday. So there's a chance still for the Cowboys to be the 2 seed and to be the 3 seed. But there's only 2 scenarios where that works out, because any other win from the Rams or the Cardinals or the Buccaneers kind of throws that all out of whack, Rob. Am I missing anything in terms of the playoff scenarios there?
No, what you're saying is they missed a huge opportunity yesterday, a huge opportunity. But yeah, a lot has to go right. And I guess that I brought it up earlier. Like, what do you guys do in this situation? Do you just play everybody and try to go win the game and hope for help and try to stay sharp? Or do you say, hey, Zeke, you've been playing up on a banged knee since week 3. Why don't you take a rest for this game? Like, how do you approach it if you're Mike McCarthy?
Isaiah?
Everybody got to play. Everybody's playing, because the last thing you want to do is go into the playoffs with this as your last memory, with this as your mojo, should we say? Yeah, baby. Okay, we need some of that, yeah, baby, to get on the field, because this last game was not it. Washington, you're riding high. You would have hoped that would have been your last game going into the playoffs, so that you can have the confidence, but you have to play everybody now. And that's the situation that you've put yourself in. Seedings matter. Freaking A, seedings matter. That first round bye is absolutely everything. And that's gone now. So now you want to set yourself up to have the easiest road for a 3-game winning streak. What is there? At least for all you can control is the first game. But who do you want to face that first week? It matters. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, everybody's kind of equally yoked. BS. They're not. You much rather play a San Fran or much rather play a Philly than you ever would want to play a freaking Tampa or LA or any of those guys. So it matters. So you have to do what you can to control what you can, because you have put yourself where you're at.
Ekma?
They have to get, look, we talk about being in sync. We talk about the offense and where they are right now. No matter what, they have to get some type of, continuity going again. If it's against the Philadelphia Eagles, then fine. Let's get it. We have to get it. You can't feel good about the way that the offense played. But then also Mike McCarthy has his finger on the pulse of this team. And if this is a situation where, look, you're going into the Philadelphia game with some injuries in places, and you may be able to rest some guys, maybe this is the time to do it, because you're already where you are. If it can't get any better than 3 or 4, you're gonna play one of the teams that Isaiah just mentioned. So no matter what, it's playoffs, and it's winner take all. Win or go home, and that's the way that this team has to approach it. I'm looking at it as, look, man, we got to get our defense back on track. We got to get our defense back, hitting, sacking, getting turnovers. We were not able to do any of that. Well, we got 1 sack yesterday, but we were not able to create those turnovers. Jerron Kearse had one on his fingertips he just couldn't catch. But there are several situations like that where you want to see this defense play a lot better. And like I opened up the show just basically saying, look, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but at the same time, I didn't see the same defense out there, Isaiah. I didn't see Dan Quinn attacking it the same way, but I did see the Cardinals picking up blitzes. They did some great things also. So look, it went both ways, but this defense, this offense, these guys have got to get back in sync.
Can I ask you a question, Heck?
Go ahead.
If the Dallas Cowboys don't have a turnover, don't force a turnover, do you feel good about this team's ability to win games?
I do. And the reason I feel good about it is because I think they do so many other things. You can still get sacks, pressure. They stop the run. And if they could clearly do that, the last time we saw Arizona Cardinals, man, they ran for 265 yards. Again, they still had, they have 127 yards. So those are the things that I'm saying that you got to get fixes on. You got to fix that. And that's what going into that playoff game that I want to see them fix. And hey, man, you're not guaranteed to get a turnover every game. It's just when you get your opportunities to get them. New York call.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But I think it does illustrate how complimentary this team has gotten, where the offense has been somewhat reliant on, these extra possessions. To answer your question, it's happened 4 times this season.
Yep.
No takeaways. Yesterday, Vegas on Thanksgiving, loss. Denver, loss. Minnesota, the Cooper Rush show came down to the very end. So That's been a huge part of their
We won
success
one of them.
this season.
Yeah.
1 for 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3. Yeah, 1 and 3. So, Rob, what would you do in that regard in terms of playing everybody, trying to get everybody back on track, both sides of the football, defense, offense, doesn't matter. Would you play these guys and try and go for that 2nd seed, 3rd seed, or do you try and set yourself up for success and potentially most likely going to play in Arizona coming around on the wild card round?
It's tough. I mean, I lean towards Heck and Isaiah that I would play guys and try to stay sharp or get sharp going in, because I think rust in the playoffs is a real thing. I've seen it with the Cowboys in the past, even when they have been really sharp going in and had the top seed. So I think that it's a long time off if you're talking about sitting a bunch of guys. However, the thing that gives me pause beyond guys, I mentioned Zeke, Tyron's been banged up. Now all of a sudden it's a short week. So how do you treat that? You turn it around and now you're traveling on Friday to go play this game. So I don't know. That's what makes it a little different wrench in it for me. But I do think there's value in getting out there and competing. And maybe it's not so much about the seeding, but just trying to get back to playing your best football going into the playoffs.
And Isaiah, what did you say last week whenever one of the biggest factors in Super Bowl runs, it's not necessarily the best team, but what kind of team makes a Super Bowl run?
It's a team that's playing best at that, and when the playoffs hit.
The hottest team.
That was not it yesterday.
Not it yesterday. But if you get a win against Philadelphia, you turn around, you win this week, and then you go into the playoffs, you've still won 5 of your last 6 games going into the postseason. So you can still categorize that as, hey, maybe the Arizona game was the exception as opposed to the reality. And hopefully that's the case. I think the Cowboys, I'm on your side. I would play everybody. Let's get a win, go 6-0 in the division, build some confidence, and then get going for the playoffs. Try and jumpstart this thing, because right now you might have that dead battery if you try and rely on that Arizona game a little bit too much. You need to get that jump start going, get those cables out, and that Philadelphia game is the way to get it done. But that's going to do it for us here on Talkin Cowboys. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to take your questions either over the phone or on Twitter on Talkin Tuesday, so we will answer your questions from Cowboys Nation. What went wrong yesterday? And then we'll, of course, start looking ahead to the Philadelphia game here in Week 18 of the NFL season. For Chris Beam running this one, for Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, Rob Phillips, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us here on Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!